Landman is back this week with the 6th episode of the season, and this episode in particular marked the point where we've now passed the halfway mark. I said last week how this season of the show feels relatively different to season 1. There's been way less action, not as much drama, and it's been much more diplomatic. Sadly, this episode followed suit with that. It didn't feel like much happened, and here we were again with another episode where Norris was behind the wheel. Even though it was a bit of a slow one, the ending teased that something bad could be on the horizon for Tommy at the hands of Cami. So with that, let's dive into the episode, break down the ending, and I'll share what I thought of it. Here is Landman Season 2, Episode 6, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Norris. The main takeaway from this episode with Tommy is that he realized that the walls were closing in on him. Like the horse that was chasing the cattle and getting backed into the corner, that was quite literally a metaphor for Tommy and his relationship with Cami and Dan Morrell. They were now business partners. Dan was the horse and Tommy was the cattle. A prime example of that metaphor being carried out in reality was seen when Cami was pretty much disregarding the negotiating that Tommy was doing. She went around him when he was sitting right there and she just said to Dan, "That sounds like a good deal, I agree." This tension has been brewing for a while, and it wasn't only him that noticed. Dan Morrell noticed it as well. That's why he said to Tommy that he could tell that Cami couldn't trust him and that when the sharks come swimming around, they'll sniff that she doesn't trust Tommy and they'll put poison in her ear to find a reason to get rid of him. Cami doesn't trust Tommy because he didn't have the bottle to go all in with Monty back in the day, and the crash in 08 ended up wiping Tommy clean. So she doesn't see him as being a figurehead character like Monty was, as he backed himself. There was a core theme in this episode of times changing, whether that be Fort Worth looking different to how it used to be, the technology that the workers saw at the fair which was going to eventually make their job redundant, and we also saw it with Tommy feeling like he might well be getting to a point in his life where he's going to be pushed out of the game, and the time could quite literally change for him. Another avenue that Tommy was dealing with in this episode was his father. TL went with him on his trip to Fort Worth, and TL ended up getting into a fight with Nash because he said something about Dorothy. This was where we saw that TL was still mourning his wife and that he almost couldn't understand why Dorothy's soul was scrambled to the point where her life was then ruined for the next 40 years when they lost their child. His soul was scrambled, but not to the same extent as what hers was. TL held on because he cared, and he knew that he now wasted his life, but he had true love because he waited, because if there was a chance that the Dorothy that he knew that was full of life would return, he wanted to be there for when it did. This is why TL was almost telling Tommy to live in the moment and to not just live with the memories that he has of the past, but instead to make new memories, especially with Angela. Otherwise, like TL, Tommy's story will be over in the blink of an eye. So seeing Tommy having to navigate this upcoming threat of Cami looking to take him out of the equation is going to be interesting to watch unfold. It actually makes me wonder if he's cooking up a plan himself to take Cami out of the picture. Cooper and Ariana. When it came to Cooper and Ariana, we basically saw Cooper going on this journey of admitting why it is that he loves Ariana to Isabel, and he was essentially proving that he was good enough for her. He wanted to buy a ring and was looking for advice from his mother on what ring to get, and she said that she'd give him the ring that his father originally gave to her. Outside of that, Cooper and Ariana's story has been relatively thin this season. I feel like the end of season 1 showed that he was almost going to be going up against his father, but in this season, we've not seen that at all. The drive and passion that he had in season 1 is now just being focused and channeled on Ariana, and I think it's tarnished the character slightly. This is because outside of being besotted with her, he genuinely brings nothing else to the show. Rebecca. Rebecca's story is one that's almost being given the Aynsley and Angela treatment now. What I like about Rebecca's character is that she can go toe-to-toe with any man in that industry and she puts them in their place. Her age and gender and navigating that space was something that was made a point of in season 1, and we saw her overcome it. But in this season, with Newsom, the geologist that's advising them on where to build this new rig in 45 days, she's now just been swooped off her feet, saying she didn't want to drink and that she wasn't interested in him, to then him making a move, then drinking the beer. I just don't know if I truly buy that the character would have done that. Rebecca just doesn't need a love interest. I get that the point of it is to make her realize that she needs to enjoy life a little bit more, which connected to the main theme of the episode. But if this is what that is, then I just feel like it ruins the character slightly. Angela and Aynsley. Now, I've made my feelings clear on Angela and Aynsley over the course of this season, and as much as their characters had great involvement 2 episodes back during the funeral, ever since then it's just reverted back to how they were originally shown to us. Two-dimensional, surface-level characters that feel like they've been put in the show to just shop and look good. I understand that they also give Tommy a headache, which does provide the odd bit of humour, but in a season that isn't as strong as the first, and with Tommy having enough issues where he's getting a headache, it feels like it's needed even less than usual. When they get importance, like in the funeral, the characters work well, but a lot of the time they're just not written with anything meaningful. My review of the episode. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm actually really disappointed with this season. Season 1 laid down the foundation so well for what we came to expect, and it's almost as if Taylor Sheridan has decided to go in a completely different direction this time. In the previous season, I loved the fact that I never quite knew what was around the corner. Whether it be the cartel, deaths occurring on the sites, Cooper getting targeted, Monty dying, and even Tommy having threats around every corner as well. However, with this season, it just feels like there's been a lot of empty threats, no real action, and I'm struggling to stay engaged. I know that Tommy and Dan Morrell don't get on, but I'm just a bit sick of seeing the same conversation happen every week, where Tommy just disagrees with him but ends up going along with it. It all just ends up feeling a bit redundant. I think the idea of Cami potentially turning on Tommy is a threat that is quite interesting to explore, but again, it just feels like there's a lot of insinuating that it's gonna happen rather than it actually happening. I'm just looking for the excitement from Season 1 of the show to return, because Season 1 really was a great installment, and I just miss what it was. Now, I say this every week, but Aynsley and Angela once again had another pointless feature in the show. They literally rocked up, went to the gym, and then did some shopping and spending of Tommy's money. I honestly don't understand what their purpose in the show is. Last season, they almost acted as a vessel, which showed a softer side to Tommy and the more human side, but this time round, it's almost just not needed because we're getting that with TL. Speaking of TL, Sam Elliott is obviously a great addition to the show, and I think his character arc of mourning the past and missing his wife that passed away and acknowledging that she was gone long before she actually died is a story that is quite sad and I can get behind. I just don't quite see where this character's gonna go, because, again, like what the theme of this season is, it's just getting a bit repetitive. His performance is great, I think the writing is just a bit repetitive. Billy Bob Thornton, Demi Moore, and Andy Garcia are the ones that, in my opinion, are truly stealing the show. As much as I complain about the fact that this season is more conversation-driven than action-driven, the conversations do have so much tension within them where you do really feel that sense of discomfort through the screen. My fear with Landman is that with the focus on Angela and Aynsley and the transformation of Rebecca when she was with Newsom, it's just making it feel like a bit of a soap opera, and Landman definitely isn't that and shouldn't be. So I really want the tone of the season to change over the course of the final few episodes. It's a show that I really enjoyed before, but now it just feels like it's dragging its heels through the mud a bit. There are so many different things that they could do with the story, and I just want a bit more action. So, there you have it, Landman Season 2 Episode 6, Ending Explained. If you want to see episodes of Landman Season 2 being broken down, then check the playlist below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of this episode? Are you enjoying Season 2? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.